Don't buy an OLED gaming monitor, it will ruin your life. Let's talk about it. Before that, this video is brought to you by VIPCDKdeals.com. CDK Deals is a website dedicated to getting you the best prices on games and software, and right now you can get a Windows 10 Pro OEM key for an insanely low price. Just find the best price and apply my special discount code GPC20 for an additional 30% off. You can also check out securely with PayPal, and once the payment is cleared, you should get access to the code both in your account as well as in your email. In order to activate the new copy of Windows 10, just search Activate under Windows and type in your key. So if you want to learn more, be sure to click the link in the description below. Alright, before you go ahead and mass downvote this video, yes, I know that OLED is an absolutely fantastic technology that blows LCD out of the water. In fact, personally, if I see another LCD monitor above $350, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm not gonna want to touch them over that $350 mark. So why am I telling you not to buy an OLED gaming monitor? I mean, clearly I love OLED so much that I have a ton of them in my house. I mean, I think right now I have even like 3 or 4 of them that are being used, and that's not even including stuff like my phone, which is also OLED. So yes, I love OLED, but during this video, I'm gonna try and convince you not to purchase an OLED gaming monitor, and to do so, we're gonna have to go on a little bit of a journey together, guys, down memory lane to explain to you just how much money I've wasted on OLED monitors. So, in order to do so, let's start off when I was a wee little lad using my first 4K monitor. At the time, I thought it was the magnum opus of gaming, and let's be real, yes, 4K is fantastic, and I actually do believe at the time that 4K monitor that I was using was a glossy monitor, so I didn't know what I had, but it was only 60 hertz, and that was garbage, that was trash. So of course I moved to a 144 hertz monitor next, and then that was the new magnum opus of gaming, because 144 hertz gaming was the new standard for what I considered to be a fantastic chef's kiss gaming experience. But it didn't stop there, because then I experienced mini LED 4K 144 hertz gaming with the PG27 UQ, and then that was the new magnum opus of gaming. I thought it couldn't get any better, but boy was I wrong, because then my sweet little lips touched OLED gaming. That's right, I got my hands on an LG C1 and I could never go back. Now at the time, the LG C1 was a 48-inch minimum screen, and yes, I loved OLED so much that I wanted to deal with a 48-inch monitor, and here's where the problems start, because as fantastic and as lovely as the LG C1 was, not only was it incredibly expensive, but on top of that, at 48 inches, I basically had to accommodate my entire room around this 4K gaming monitor that was really a television, let's be honest. Now, things have definitely changed since then, and there are a ton of gaming OLED monitors that are coming out this year that are definitely going to look absolutely fantastic, but they do have a lot of drawbacks, one of them being the price, and I think you are going to start to notice a trend going on. Once you get into OLED gaming, the prices just quickly get out of control, and you find yourself going down a slippery slope of not only ever increasing prices, but also ever increasing screen sizes, as unfortunately right now, in the OLED gaming space, there are very few options at a reasonable size. Now, there are some available, don't get me wrong, you do have access to a 27-inch LG one, however, it does have its downsides. It's one of the dimmest displays I've ever tested, and on top of that, it's also very expensive at $999, and then you also have the Alienware Quantum Dot OLED, which I do think in some ways is a little bit better, but in some ways is a little bit worse, because it is brighter than the LG one. It's 34 inches, so it is still a reasonable size, but unfortunately it's 175 hertz versus the 240 on the LG, and you also do have some issues with color fringing due to the very odd layout of those Quantum Dot OLED pixels. So again, as you can see here, not only are they very, very expensive, but they do have quite a few issues still, which is leading me to believe that for a lot of people, OLED could end up being the wrong choice. But let's get back to the story, because yep, I got to the LG C1. I thought that was incredible because it was 4K OLED gaming, and it was incredible. And then we got to the LG C2, which is probably
arguably the best OLED choice for people who are looking into 4K gaming today. However, even the LG C2 42-inch panel does have its downsides. And again, we're going to have to come back to A, the price. It was $1,400 when it first launched. Now it's much, much cheaper now. And B, the size at 42 inches. It's just a little bit ridiculous for a lot of people. But this is where the slippery slope gets even worse, guys, because did I stop at 42 inches? No, of course I didn't stop at 42 inches, because you want to know what's a lot better than the LG C2, an OLED monitor that gets a lot brighter and is faster with a 144 Hz refresh rate. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Samsung S95B, because I had a lot of complaints with the LG C2, despite the fact that it is, again, probably for most people the best 4K option on the market if you're looking at OLED, which of course OLED does look a lot better, not only because of the nature of OLED being much, much faster in terms of gray to gray response times, as well as having much deeper blacks and a better HDR presentation than the terrible LCD displays that we've had access to for a very long time. But again, it does have its issues. The LG C2 is not necessarily a very bright display, and at 120 Hz, it's kind of hitting that minimum bar of what I would consider to be acceptable for online gaming. Now, if you're into AAA single-player gaming, 120 Hz is perfectly fine, and there is nothing wrong with it whatsoever. It's a very smooth feeling experience, and it definitely is going to get exactly what you need for that AAA gaming experience. However, if you're talking about online gaming, which I do, 120 Hz is really on the edge. There's a lot of people out there with 240 Hz, 360 Hz displays, and even though they're LCDs and they're very, very slow in terms of gray to gray response times, what they see in front of their face in terms of the gap between the frames is going to be much lower than what you see. And on top of that, it's also going to bring a much lower system latency. So having 120 Hz is really on the edge, in my opinion, for online gaming. Even if you unlock your frame rate and go beyond what your display can actually show you, you still are going to be at a disadvantage. And this is where the S95B comes in, and here's where the problems come in, because as you can see, we're getting to a slippery slope of better and better displays, but they're getting larger and larger and more expensive, because now I've spent $1,600 on the 55-inch Samsung S95B because I can't help myself, and there's no real other better options on the market for 4K OLEDs. There are some 1440p options and more coming in 2023, though they will be very, very expensive, such as the 49-inch one coming from Samsung. We're probably talking $2,000 plus. Again, this kind of feeds into the issue of OLED gaming is very expensive right now, but there are some options like I talked about earlier at 1440p. But if you're into 4K OLED gaming, which I do think is where it is at, well, yeah, it gets very big and very expensive. The S95B at $1,600 and 55 inches is ridiculous, but it brings you much higher brightness than the LG C2 and a higher frame rate, which I think those two things are very, very important, as the LG C2, especially for working, I think it was kind of a problem to have only 150 nits of brightness, which is what you can expect out of a lot of the OLEDs coming in 2023. And not only that, but a lot of the OLED gaming monitors coming, unfortunately, are going to feature from LG a matte or semi-matte finish. And to be honest with you guys, I do really think that that severely hampers the clarity as well as color vibrancy that you get out of the displays, and kind of negates a huge portion of the reason why you would actually go ahead and buy an OLED gaming monitor. Now, you still will get those incredibly fast gray to gray response times. A matte finish will do nothing to that, so you still will get that, and it still will look a lot better than LCD even with a matte finish. However, unfortunately, yes, between the price, the matte finishes, as well as the limited 1440p options available in 2023, unfortunately, I do believe that getting into OLED gaming monitors in 2023 will be somewhat of a mistake for a lot of people, and you could end up like me, where you basically build an entire room around accommodating an S95B or S95C or S90C in 2023 just so that you can get the best display experience. And hey, if that's what you want, yes, the S95B and S95C will blow everything out of the water, and the image quality you get will be absolutely fantastic. However, again, the price that you're going to have to pay to get that fantastic of an image is going to be just ludicrously high. And to be honest with you guys, I do think it is worth waiting a little bit longer until we have some more OLED gaming monitors on the market before you make your choice, unless you see something coming out that just ticks all the boxes for you personally.
If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and Nvidia release new GPUs. Also, if you want to see more, check out one of these related videos. You won't be disappointed.